Big games and big results on a Saturday. What do you think? Here at the Voice of College Football, appreciate you being here. Comments, questions are always welcome. We appreciate your contributions in any way. Please hit the like button, and we'll get to your calls in just a second. And of course, because of the playoff field being what it is, and we could count about 35 teams that were eligible for potential playoff entry at the beginning of the day, but we had a few key games where teams are almost facing or basically facing elimination based on the results that we saw in particular tonight. And then some also scenarios that have changed considerably since we last spoke with all of you. So we will get to the scores. We will get to your comments. We will get to your questions. And obviously we will slice up the day in college football as we have completed week 10. So let's get to the scores first and foremost. Here we go. All right, let me refresh the page just to make sure we've got the most up-to-date scores. All right. Oklahoma, Tennessee. This is a huge one, of course, in Knoxville, and Oklahoma leads 26-17. We got about 2 minutes left in the game. Arkansas State leads Troy 20-10 on the road. Cincinnati, Utah, a huge one in the Big 12. Utes lead 14-7 as we have made our way into the second quarter. Hawaii with a touchdown on the board in the first quarter against San Jose State on the road as we move to the top 25 scores to the number one team in the country, winning at home against Penn State 38-14. Maryland thumped by Indiana. Indiana just laying waste to everyone in its path, 55-10. Georgia gets by Florida 24-20. Ole Miss with a big second half to defeat South Carolina 30-14 at home. There's the upset. North Carolina State wins at home against Georgia Tech 48-36. Georgia Tech is no longer undefeated. Vandy goes to Texas, and the Longhorns look good for most of the game. They have to hold off Vandy, though, late, 34-31 Texas. Miami upset on the road in overtime against SMU 26-20. Notre Dame workmanlike effort at Boston College 25-10. Texas Tech with a big fourth quarter to defeat Kansas State 43-20. Virginia is still undefeated in the ACC. They defeat Cal 31-21, go all the way across the country and win a big game for them in the ACC. Likewise, Louisville on the road against Virginia Tech. They fell behind 16-7. They came back for the 12-point win. Michigan, not necessarily impressively, but they win at home against Purdue 21-16. West Virginia 45, Houston 35, and an upset in the Big 12 as that pretty much dashes Houston's hopes of winning the Big 12. USC on the road against Nebraska, minus Dylan Raiola in the fourth quarter, 21-17, big win for the Trojans. Nebraska is all but eliminated from the playoffs. Rutgers loses at Illinois 35-13. Duke, 1 point better than Clemson as the Tigers now lose their fifth game of the season. Baylor blasts UCF 30-3. UAB on the road against the UConn. Huskies win at 38-19. Army 3 points better than Air Force in one of the legs of the Commander-in-Chief Trophy. Navy loses their first game of the season at North Texas, one of the key games in the American Conference, 31-17. Buffalo 28-3 over Bowling Green. We've got Arizona State winning on the road in Ames 24-19. East Carolina blasts Temple 45-14. UNLV takes one on the chin at home against New Mexico 40-35. Minnesota needs overtime against Michigan State. They win at 23-20. Pitt goes to the West Coast. They win over Stanford 35-20. We've got Liberty over Delaware 59-30. Western Kentucky defeats New Mexico State 35-16. Fresno State defeats Boise 30-7. Old Dominion 31. Louisiana Monroe 6. Louisiana defeats South Alabama 31-22. Mississippi State on the road against Arkansas in a wild one, 38-35. Kansas defeats Oklahoma State 38-21. Western Michigan on top of Central Michigan 24-21. Arizona crushes Colorado. The Buffs take another big loss, give up 50 again, this time to the Wildcats 52-17. San Diego State over Wyoming 24-7. And the Aztecs still have hopes of a playoff bid. Kentucky on the road in the Plains against Auburn 10-3. And then we've got Oregon State over Washington State 10-7. And Florida State woke up tonight and defeated Wake Forest 42-7. We will line it back up with the games that are still being contested. And Tennessee has scored late against Oklahoma. So they're, depending on the timeout situation, there could be an onside kick. It was 26-17. They have opted for the 1-point conversion, obviously, because the field goal will win the game for Tennessee. So it's 26-24 Sooners with just under 2 minutes left in the game in Knoxville. We'll keep our eye on that one. Let's get to the calls. Let's start with our buddy Michael Hogue checking in tonight. Michael, what's going on?
I am furious, Mark.
Well, I understand why, but Purdue put up a good fight.
That's what I understand. Why is it teams, when they ran that play, I know you probably didn't watch the game tonight. Maybe
I had it on, but I can't say that I saw every play.
Why is it when it's 4th and short, teams line up in the freaking shotgun?
Oh, I hate that too. Hate it too. I saw other teams get that screwed up. So when did Purdue? I had the game on my laptop right in front of me the entire game, but I can't really analyze exactly situations and what happened. But I was watching every play. So what? Which play are you referring to, and what situation?
4th and 1 play to start the 4th quarter.
Oh, okay.
Where they lined up shotgun and went up the middle. And he was a few inches short. And to me, I'm going to be honest, I feel that's where Purdue lost the game tonight. But there's another thing. How did Jordan Marshall break out of that scrum?
Down near the goal line? Yeah. Well, if you saw the replay, you saw that really nobody had their arms wrapped around him. You know, he was in a pile of humanity, but nobody had a hold of him necessarily.
Yeah. I don't know, though. It was oh, man.
Yeah, Purdue gave it a go.
Mark, this is the 4th game this year they should have won. No, I mean, 4th game they lost, they should have won.
Okay. Minnesota,
Rutgers,
okay,
tonight, and USC.
Okay. I don't know about the USC game, but sure.
Mark, Purdue's 3 times in the red zone, throws 2 turnovers.
Well, that's part of the game.
It looks like Oklahoma's getting ready to score a touchdown.
Okay.
As he was trying to do the, I guess they said he didn't look like he broke the plane, but I don't know. I don't know if you're watching that game or not. But I can ask you this though. Yeah, Ohio State looked convincing today. So did Indiana. But are you still think Ohio State's a better team?
Yes, I do.
Is it why? Is it because they just? I mean, yeah, numbers and stuff like that. But what is it going to take? Okay, say they right now. It's
Michael, they're going to be playing in the Big Ten championship game.
Mm-hmm.
Then why do we need to argue for the next 3 weeks who's better? They're going to be playing in the Big Ten championship game.
Some people think it's just a fluke for, I don't know.
Think what's a fluke?
That Indiana and stuff like that. But it is what it is.
Yeah, well, I can't imagine that anyone with any sense thinks Indiana is a fluke.
Yeah.
Those people don't know anything.
Mm-hmm. But no, what surprised you today? I was kind of surprised about how Texas got off to the fast start with Vanderbilt.
What surprised me today? I can't really come up with anything for you that really surprised me.
So did you pick Texas to beat Vanderbilt today?
Yes.
Okay. I figured it might have been a good game, but I didn't expect Texas to get off to that fast start, though. That's what surprised me.
Yeah, I unfortunately, because of the fight between YouTube TV and ESPN and Disney, I did not get a chance to see any of that game.
Oh, nice rain about that, too.
Oh, well, thank you. This really disgusts me, and this is not necessarily the time to talk about it because people want to talk about the games. But at some point this week, maybe I'll address it more fully because it's really blackmail of the fans. It really is, because when they sign the contract, they know when the contract ends, and they know the contract ends right in the middle of football season.
Mm-hmm.
So they are setting themselves up for this type of situation to screw everyone.
And I think 99% of the fans, that's why they even get YouTube TV in the first place for.
Well, I don't know if it's 99%, but whatever the number is, whoever got it for college football is getting screwed over. And for me in particular, that's the only reason I get YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like material just scored pretty much, but depends on what happens. But I think Tennessee can ready to go down. So, is Michigan really a good team, or did Purdue just, or you think they just played up to Purdue's level tonight?
Well, Michigan is not laying the hammer down on anyone. You know, Wisconsin's completely inept, and Michigan had a 1-score lead in the fourth quarter. They had a 1-score lead against Michigan State in the second half. Michigan State's no good. Michigan is not dominating anyone.
I mean, they still got the they still got the one loss to USC in the conference, right?
Yes.
Oh, speaking of Nebraska, any updates on Raiola?
No, we will not have any updates on any particular players if they leave the game and don't play the rest of the game. We're not going to have an update right after the game.
No, I didn't know if you. I'm sure you've seen the injury. I didn't know if you've heard anything since the game or if you've been following the game.
No, that's my point.
Okay,
that's my point. They don't release any kind of statements right after the game. Anyway, no, I don't know about Dylan Raiola. I just watched the game and saw what everybody else saw.
Sounds good. All right, sir. Thanks for taking my call, and I will talk to you soon.
All right, Michael. Appreciate you being here.
I promise I won't break nothing.
I have no idea what he said at the end there. So Oklahoma scores against Tennessee. They've got a 9-point lead. The game's over. The game is over. So Oklahoma comes up with a big win. They stay at 2 losses. Tennessee goes to 3 losses. You got to figure that Tennessee is out because their schedule is not difficult. They have no significant wins, and they are not one of the 9-3 teams in the SEC that's got the resume or would have the resume, even winning their final 3 games, that would get a playoff spot. But Oklahoma stays alive. USC stays alive. And we will go through the scores and the standings and talk about other teams that have stayed alive with a win tonight. We got Hall of Fame Trey stopping by.
Hey, Mark, how you doing today?
Good. What's going on?
Man, we got a lot to talk about. First off, Auburn is going to fire Hugh Freeze for sure. That was a savable win for his job. And I think he would have saved his job if he went into a bowl game. That's not going to be possible. They lost to Kentucky, and now they got Alabama, and they got who else? Dang, I just looked at it earlier. It's another tough opponent. They're not going to win, so they're going to be probably 5-7, Mark, and that's not going to help Hugh Freeze at all. I think he's going to be sending his walking papers soon. So
yeah, they appear to be one of those teams this year that they could play the number 1 team in the country and lose by a touchdown. And they could play the worst team in the SEC and lose by a touchdown.
I couldn't believe they only scored 3.
Yeah, I was surprised that. I had not seen that score until I just read it a few minutes ago. And I was surprised to see 10-3. That's crazy.
I expect him at least 17 or 20 like they've been, but 3 versus Kentucky. I mean, it's Kentucky. They're tough. But for my gosh, man, I don't know what to tell you. Hugh Freeze seemed like he did nothing. I kept giving him benefit of the doubt. Doesn't do no good. Move on from Auburn. But what surprised me here is Georgia Tech lost to NC State. That's interesting. The Wolfpack been hot lately. The Wolfpack is hot. They if they would have had a better run, earlier in the season instead of now the last couple games, they would have been an ACC factor. But they're starting to get hot at the wrong time, and it's basically too late for them. But good win for NC State. Good for them. Georgia Tech needs to recruit, but I think they're going to the ACC championship anyway, so I don't think this is going to bother them. It shouldn't be, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it drops Georgia Tech to 1 loss in the conference, and they're right there with Louisville and Virginia and SMU and Pitt. So you got a logjam with 1 loss. So this drastically hurts Georgia Tech. They still this takes destiny out of their hands.
Yeah, they got to win out. Who else they got on the schedule? We'll look at
it may not even be that they have to win out. They definitely have to win out, yes, in the conference. But what my point being is that they had control of their situation before this weekend. Now they don't necessarily have control of their situation because, as I just outlined, we've got 5 teams with 1 loss. So even if they win the rest of their games, they may not go to the ACC championship game.
The bad thing is they only played 1. They did not play Louisville. All they got is Pitt, and they got to beat Pitt. At least they eliminate them. But you're right, though. I mean, they still got a shot. But a lot of things now have to. Now everything have to fall in their place, and you can't really do much about it. You had the chance if you just went out, and now the Pitt game, it puts into question, can they beat Pitt? Because Pitt's been very good. So what now for the Yellow Jackets? And it's sad because I like their run. Mark.
Yeah, let me correct something real quick. So Virginia's got no losses. Virginia's undefeated in the conference. They're the only team.
Yep.
They lost to NC State, but it was a non-conference game, which is kind of screwy. But
that's terrible.
Yeah, so those other 4 teams have 1 loss. So Virginia's in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I think Virginia's. I don't know, man. Virginia's one day they look like they're about to be a great team, and the next day they're struggling versus North Carolina. So maybe they have 1 loss, maybe they join them. But the way they took care of business today, that was really impressive for Virginia. Good for Virginia. But for Florida, I'm kind of happy and mad at the same time because, let's be honest, that was a damn catch, and everybody knew it. That was a catch under his fingers, and the ball hit his forearm, and it came in held it. I think Gators would have beat Georgia. And now you got people like Uncle Lou and these Georgia fans. They won't admit it. They think they're better. But people don't put this in perspective. Who cares if you're better? Georgia and Florida, most of the time, has been very close. In 2002, Florida was 5-3, and they beat undefeated Georgia with this sexy Rexy. So this don't care about the records. This game was just like every other game in Georgia, Florida, very close.
You've lost me, Trey, on what your point is. Georgia is better than Florida.
Yeah, but they surely didn't play like usual. But records go out the window because Florida and Georgia's always been close. Doesn't matter how good you are. It depends on this game.
It really does matter how good you are.
You think so?
Yes, Trey. If we would go year to year in the Georgia-Florida game, this is one of my I can't call it a pet peeve because I hate that phrase. But this is one of those things that is a misnomer in sports. I guarantee you that if we went to the Georgia-Florida series and we went through every year, which we're not going to do tonight,
I wish we did
other time, because we're talking about the games going on today. I guarantee you the team with the better record won the game at least 80% of the time.
Especially in the last 2 decades, most likely. Most likely, but it's been very close. People predicted Georgia would, blow out Florida. I never thought that was going to happen. And DJ did not make enough plays. Not enough offense, and we had some chances. And then he goofed up on the fumble. Then we had some bad calls. That Florida-Georgia game was pretty bad calls. The fumble, that was a fumble out of Stockton's hand, and everybody knew that because the ball was, when he was coming forward, the ball was coming out anyway. And then the second one, the ball, had it under his fingertips at the 20. There was many chances we could have won this game. We're actually very competitive, and was really impressive by Billy Gonzalez, how he prepared the team for 2 weeks to take on a top 5 team. That was a good job from Billy for last minute notice, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. Taking on that good of a team and being in that difficult situation, good for Billy Gonzalez. As I'm pulling up the box score to get a little perspective on this, because I did not see this game. So we got DJ 15 of 24 today for $166. No picks, touchdown pass.
Yeah, I was
Jaden
impressive with that, Mark. That was very impressive. But he did have that fumble. He almost fumbled the ball. His footwork, if you look at DJ Lagway's footwork, it'll be so wide. And when he did that one time earlier in the game, I think it was third quarter, maybe second, he was too wide and he slipped and lost the ball almost. And so he needs to work on that footwork, because that could have cost us a lot more than it was. His footwork is atrocious. I mean, he's too damn slow, and then he drifts. Like, where are you drifting to? It's like stand up in the pocket and deliver. Instead, he backs up, and then he drifts, and his foot is not setting. So that's a big issue with DJ, and that leads to more picks. I'm surprised he didn't get picked off today. There was like 2 or 3 times he could have.
Yeah, I got no take on Georgia, Florida today. I did not see that one, thanks to our friends at Disney.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if people really want to watch football, and it happens again the next couple of weeks, I went to Sling TV Day Pass.
Okay.
They have it's like $4.99, but if you add $1, they give you Big Ten Network, SEC Network, and all those little other channels that has okay games. So I pay $5.99 to see that now. That's fine with me. Yeah, the good thing for tomorrow, I'll be watching NFL, and they can't mess with local channels. But the last take here, Mark. Navy. You were absolutely right about Navy.
I was accidentally right.
No, I didn't mean to say accidentally right. No, I mean
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm not saying in any
Yeah.
way that I picked. I didn't pick the game, so one way or the other.
yeah.
I was just making the point when we were talking American Conference the other day that Navy. I wasn't really sold on Navy completing an undefeated season by any stretch.
Yeah, I wasn't either, but I didn't think they would lose that game. Now they can't lose anymore in the conference. Now they're going to probably get blown out by Notre Dame. They're going to get blown out. That's fine, whatever. Yeah. But the rest of the games in the conference, they got to win out. They can't have any more slip-ups because North Texas already took one from them. Now it puts Memphis in the question and whoever they play left, because that's a lot more down the stretch here, Mark.
Yeah, so we'll do our American analysis sometime this week. But Navy loses, and let's see. Again, we'll look at it because I can't even recall what else happened in the conference besides Memphis beating Rice this weekend. And we looked at Temple; they only had one loss in the conference, and they got completely obliterated by East Carolina.
Sure did.
I think some of those teams were off today. South Florida didn't play.
We had like 4 or 5. Man, we had a lot of teams this week that was off.
Yeah,
Alabama was out. The most was
Oregon.
Like 3 or 4 good teams in the top 10, 15 was off today.
Yeah.
Now that was unusual. Usually we have a couple of them, but this was a lot this year. I think that was probably the most we had this year. But we still had great games too.
Well, that should be the last bye for just about everyone.
I don't like these buys. They come at the wrong time, Mark, especially at the end of November. I mean, the early November, late November, then nobody else should have a bye. I will say this. I'm very disappointed in Houston. I hyped up Houston. I wanted to go to the Big 12 championship, Mark, and I said,
we had it all worked out, and I watched that game.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have normally watched that game, but Disney kind of pushed me into watching that game since they cut off the SEC. Yeah. So I watched that game at noon while I was watching Ohio State, Penn State. And West Virginia came out hot. They took a 21-7 lead. Yep. They start a freshman quarterback. West Virginia is the first team this season that has started 4 different quarterbacks, and they got a true freshman starting right now. Tommy Fox or Timmy Fox, and he's their first freshman quarterback since 1952 to start at West Virginia.
And I'm happy for him though. But we had it all worked out, Mark, the other day. It was like Thursday or Wednesday, whatever. We had it all worked out how it's supposed to be, and you see Houston keeps letting me down.
Yeah, well, we had it all worked out in the ACC as well in Georgia.
Oh yeah, now that got thrown in. Now what? We gotta go back. We gotta go back on Tuesday or Wednesday and refigure this out because I would love to talk about that some more.
Yeah, well, we'll get into the scenarios this week. Too.
And now the group of 5. Now we have to work all this back out.
That's what we're gonna have to do every week.
Yeah, that's fine. It's whatever. But I will tell you the games I did watch today. I did watch Houston and West Virginia at first. Then I went back and forth with Navy and North Texas. I was actually invested in that one because I talked about it so much. And when I seen that, it was kind of sad. And then I watched Florida, Georgia, and I watched 3 games. I watched FSU, Wake Forest. Then I watched South Carolina, Ole Miss, and Oklahoma and Tennessee. And well, you know what happened. Oh, man, you got Louisville over. You know what? Virginia Tech impressed me, Mark. They came out swinging. Yeah,
they did. They went up 16-7. So this irritated me because otherwise I've got a nice little day going right here at 13-6 against the spread. But I had Stanford in 14.5, and I had Virginia Tech in 11.5. So I lost 2 games by half a point.
I'll tell you what's so weird. Duke beat Clemson, and now they're 3-5. Usually it's the other way around. And then Miami, I do not think they're going to the playoffs, Mark. I'll say it right now. They're not going to make it. I don't know. I don't care if anybody says they're going to make it to the playoffs. They're freaking crazy. Don't know what's going on. You lost to Miami. You lost to SMU. Now you're out. So it's between 4 teams now: Pitt, Virginia, Louisville, and Georgia Tech. With those 4, and whoever is, and I think Duke could be in that conversation too.
Yeah, Duke only has 1 loss.
So Clemson's been gone, but that was actually impressive. Miami, they're done. I don't care. Nobody should be hyping Miami. It seems like every year they seem pretty good, and somehow Mario Cristobal figures out to lose to a Duke team or a Georgia Tech team that was down. I wonder his job ever going to be in jeopardy.
Well, his job's not going to be in jeopardy going 10-2.
Hey, they did that to James Franklin. He was a 2-2.
Yeah, this is Miami. No. They've been going 7-5 for 25 years. They're not getting rid of Mario Cristobal. They've got way too much money invested, and they're coming off a 10-3 season, and they've only lost 2 games this year. No, he's got a lot of job security. I'll tell you what. Security.
I don't know. You better tell some of these Hurricane fans they were not happy about losing to SMU. I wouldn't doubt it because they thought it was this year. I thought it was this year. I thought they would when you go from week 1 and to week now. I thought they were unstoppable in the first couple of weeks. And truly unstoppable. Their front line was great. Their defense was good. And looked like nobody was going to run through them. I thought they were going to make it straight to the playoffs. How things change. It's kind of strange. How things change. And now they're starting to collapse. And now it's all wasted now.
Yep. All right, Trey.
Thank you.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Thank you, man.
Talk to you soon. All right, we will keep it rolling here at the Voice of College Football. We got a super chat to come to, and one of the things that Trey said reminded me of a post that I made on X today. This really is just a regurgitation of what I posted after Miami, Nebraska as 2 touchdown and 8-point favorites the previous Friday night did against Louisville and Minnesota, where they both collapsed in those games as heavy favorites. And then tonight, obviously, we had Nebraska lose, which I feel bad for Nebraska Nation, for Husker Nation, whatever they call themselves, GBR, because they did have the big blackout. It was impressive. The blackout, the black uniforms, I thought it all looked very cool. And they played a heck of a game. And they missed their quarterback for the final quarter, and that obviously impacted the game. And we will never know if Dylan Raiola had played the rest of the game, if Nebraska would have won or not. We have no idea. I could hear either argument. We will never know. But USC won the game. You got to win with the players that you've got. But I do feel bad for any team that loses its quarterback in a close game and a game that was so important to Nebraska, who has now lost 29 consecutive games to ranked opponents. So at some point after Miami lost this last game against SMU, I just thought, we've got a Miami show that I host every Wednesday night. Wednesday night, 7 p.m., everyone. And these Miami fans, after a string of impressive wins, before this loss to Louisville, they were actually serving up questions on a regular, like this wasn't one lunatic. This wasn't two lunatics. This is like 15 that are actually talking about in the chat who they want to see Miami play in the national championship game. And then asking me who I would like to see Miami play in the national championship game. And they're like 5-0, 6-0. This team has not won a meaningful game in over 20 years. They can't get out of the ACC. And just because they've got 6 wins, Miami fans are like gloating about who they're going to play in a national championship game. They can't even get to the playoff, let alone win a playoff game, let alone get to a national championship game. They can't beat the likes of SMU and Louisville. Those are the teams this year. Last year, it was Syracuse and Georgia Tech. Pick the random ACC teams that they can't beat that derail their season. Win a game against somebody first. Win a meaningful game. Make it to a place in the season. Now, they did win meaningful games. The Florida win was impressive. Notre Dame, obviously. South Florida, etc. Yes. Miami's had a nice season up until 2 weeks ago. But get to a point in the season where you're playing meaningful games in November and then win one of those. Just win one. That's all I'm asking. Out of the Miami fan base and the Nebraska fan base, win one meaningful game during a meaningful portion of the season. I'm not talking about beating Colorado in September last year. I'm not talking about Miami beating Notre Dame in August this year. I'm talking about a meaningful portion of the season. Finally win one game, just one game. I should ask for much more than that to legitimize either one of these programs as being a contender. But just one. Just win one. You can't win one game against a decent team in a meaningful spot. So, as far as I'm concerned, those two fan bases, I don't want to hear anything out of you. Now, obviously, yes, join the discussion, talk your teams, but I don't want to hear about like championship aspirations. It's ridiculous. It's so out of place. It's such an incredible joke. Like for a 3 or 4 week stretch on our Miami show, I've got Miami fans like in the chat talking about how they're going to crush Ohio State or crush Georgia or fill in the blank, said elite team. And it's like, you people, be fans. And for as long as you can ride that carpet ride, it's meaningless. It is based on nothing factual or nothing in reality. But if that makes you feel good until reality sets in and your team gets kicked in the head by a team that's 6-3, then have at it. Adam, we do appreciate you, sir. Appreciate Adam so much. Thank you for the contribution, sir. Mark, Nebraska is no class and must eliminate the hapless Dylan Raiola. Well, somebody eliminated him tonight. 3 USC pass rushers eliminated Dylan Raiola tonight. Carson Beck is a disgrace and a waste of $4 million. Georgia Tech is an engineering school, not a football program. And here's the truth Indiana is the best team in the country. Well, Adam, you had a nice little super chat there. We do appreciate it again. Yeah, I think you're being a little bit harsh on Dylan Raiola. He was not around to try to win the football game. Yeah, Carson Beck is making some boneheaded decisions, and he is letting his team down. Yes, Georgia Tech is an engineering school. Yes, I am aware of that. And then the final comment there, yes. Anyone who believes that Indiana is the best football team in the country has all the evidence in the world to back up that claim. Sure. Is it truth? Then if we believe claims about football teams being the best teams in the country is the truth, we have a messed up version of what truth is. That would be an opinion, sir. That's an opinion. Truth is really messed up in the society right now. People don't know what truth means. All right. We got Keith stopping by. Keith, what's going on?
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I turned on you. I turned off my guys. Your guys, my guys. You know who I'm talking about.
I do.
Yeah, because it's more sensible over here. But
oh, okay. Well, I got to think that they were a bit upset about the narrow win.
Yeah, boy. I left in the comments on my way out. I said, "Did we win this game?" Listening to this, I can't tell. Yeah, but
yeah, I think we all, and I do think we covered this ground last time. That at least based on my perspective, and I got to be careful that when I start to give my opinion, that I hope people don't believe I'm saying this like this is the way it is, and nobody else can think any other way. No, I'm just merely giving my perspective and opinion that Michigan's supposed to be decidedly a better team, substantially better than Purdue, and they were tonight. I watched the game. They were the better team. It's not like Purdue got ripped off or anything. Michigan was. I think that they were better than a 5-point better team tonight, but that was the final score. It was still a good game, close game, and Purdue had a shot. So I do think that you can have a balanced perspective on still being happy that your team won, and still understanding that all these schools work very hard, practice very hard, have very capable coaching staffs and talented players. And even if you're playing Purdue, there are future NFL players on that field playing for Purdue, and it's tough to win football games. So there should be a level of celebration. I think as Ohio State / Michigan fans, and we can fill it in with some other elite programs, that you get into this mentality that you only really care about 2 games a year, and then you just assume that the rest of them are wins, and you're not happy about them unless they're 58-0.
right, yeah, and nobody mentioned we won 3 games in a row. That there's probably between 50 and 75 teams in FBS that would be ecstatic to have that winning streak.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, the big flaw in the game was in one person, was Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
We're struggling with a freshman quarterback, and we knew this going in. We were going to be playing with a freshman quarterback, and everybody thought this freshman quarterback is different. He's not going to suffer like other freshman quarterbacks have. And I thought it was foolish at the time. I would have much rather had an experienced quarterback, but the one they recruited turns out to be a China doll, and maybe he just came here to get the Michigan medicine, to get whatever he needed to get fixed, because we haven't seen anything of Mikey Keene all season.
Well, I'll say this before I give my take on Bryce Underwood, Keith, is that one more plug for my Michigan guys over there. I do appreciate you dropping by over here, and I get your perspective. And obviously, I want you to listen to whatever show you want to listen to. But obviously those guys know a lot more about Michigan football than I do. That's their team. That's who they're watching all the time. I'm trying to watch everyone at the same time. So you're going to get more in-depth analysis about what's going on with Michigan football than you will with me.
I understand that. And but the two bad plays today were did you see the interception at the 4-yard line? The pick
Yes.
at the yeah. And then you saw the fumble through the end zone.
Yeah, so we had the Bryce Underwood scrambles left. He's in trouble, and Andrew Marsh is wide open, standing in the back of the end zone, waving his hands and Bryce Underwood, tries to throw that cross body shot, and the Purdue defender Hines made a great break on the ball, picked it off. The play at the goal line with him extending, I'd have to see that again. I didn't see it live. I saw like 2 replays when they were just showing that it. Unfortunately, that's kind of a strange rule in football. I won't get into it here.
Agreed.
That you penalize the offense for fumbling a ball into the end zone that does not get recovered. But anyway, regardless, I would think it would go back to where it was fumbled, but and the offense would retain possession. But did he seem to take an unnecessary chance there? Is that what you're complaining about?
No, he's just a freshman. He didn't realize, and he lost the 3-point contact rule when he was falling with the ball. You can see the ball was loose in his hands, and he had, I guess if you call 3 fingers contact.
Yeah.
He was just holding it like a loaf of bread in his hand, and boom. The other guy knocked it out, and there it goes out the end zone.
Yeah. Anytime these players, they love to extend the ball, and if they pull it off, they're a hero, and if they don't, they look stupid because somebody knocks the ball out of their hands. I would like my quarterback to be cognizant of down and distance in that situation, meaning, if it's first down and you don't extend to the goal line and you get knocked out of bounds and you're at the 6-inch line, well, we got 2nd down and goal at the 6-inch line. That's better than taking the risk of extending the ball and getting it knocked out, as we see happens all the time. On the other hand, obviously, if it's 4th down and goal, then you got to go for it.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm not critical of Bryce. I think Bryce is a good quarterback, but a team that's supposed to be as good as Michigan, playing with a freshman quarterback that's learning this stuff as we go along, and like you say, his reads aren't that good. He just doesn't have that experience yet. We'd be much better off with an experienced quarterback.
But you would be obviously not getting him the experience.
That's correct. Yes.
So you can look at that both ways. And obviously, I would say, and this may not be right because I'm not charting every pass that he makes and really detailing it. Although I tend to do that before I get together with Steve Dace on Tuesdays because I want to be on top of the situation. But I thought that he was progressing after the Oklahoma game. He was progressing quite well and getting better every week and actually showing those 3 to 5 plays a game that are worthy of his talent. And now the last couple of weeks against Michigan State and Purdue, he seems to have regressed.
That happens to quarterbacks every season in football. And why is that? You tell me, Mark. I know the answer.
Why they regress?
Yes.
Well, defensive coordinators get tape on them and they're able to adjust and confuse them.
Exactly. And they see what one team confuses them. It gets passed on to the next.
Yeah.
And you learn patterns of defense that confuse them, and boom. And that's what every quarterback's got to do. I mean, we saw this with Tom Brady when he was here, but the difference between some quarterbacks and others, the good quarterbacks can adjust after they're discovered what their weaknesses are. They can adjust and take the lead back another game or so.
Now, I will say, Keith, that the one thing we've got to consider with Bryce Underwood versus comparing him to a lot of other freshman quarterbacks, let's say Julian Sayin at Ohio State. Julian Sayin, of course, is a redshirt freshman. And so there's a big difference there. Most of these freshmen, I think about Bryce Young at Alabama. He was a redshirt freshman. A lot of these guys, they're technically freshmen, but they were redshirts the previous season. So they had a full year to learn the system, to practice every day.
Absolutely.
This is Bryce Underwood as a true freshman. There aren't a whole lot of true freshmen that start.
Yep. And why is that?
Well, it's tough to do. It's tough to learn. There's a lot expected of you. You have to be a leader of guys that are older than you. You have to be comfortable with that. You have to take, you have to take command of the offense. You have to make split-second decisions. You have to know the offense. Well, there's a lot of things you have to do.
And they make a lot of mistakes.
Sure. Because of that.
Yeah. And so, so that's, we should all be expect there. So when we beat bad teams by 1 score or 2 scores, the objective is to win a game. And in the box score at the end of the season, all that matters is that W or L. And so it's good when we win a game. You think we'd start from that process, that it's good. I'm glad we beat Purdue today, and I'm happy we beat Purdue. I wanna be happy, not pissed off.
Yeah. So again, that's your approach to being a fan, which I think has got to be much more enjoyable than the fans who just assume their team's going to win every week 50-0. And if they don't, then they're mad if they're not perfect. So that sounds like a more enjoyable approach. The one thing I will say also is that until the final game of the season is played, and I'm talking about the final game, meaning the national championship or whatever your final game turns out to be, if it's the ReliaQuest Bowl or the Texas Bowl or the national championship game, the reason you may come away from a win disappointed is because there's a concern that if we don't play better in these areas, we're going to be playing better teams later. And even though you can be happy about the win, just be thinking, well, if we don't improve X, Y, and Z against this team or that team, then we're going to be in trouble.
I agree. Yep.
As opposed to the final game of the season, once you play your bowl game or your championship game, whatever that is, regardless of whether you win 3-2 or whatever, you're just happy that you won. It doesn't matter how you looked. It's over, and there's no more games to be played to be concerned about.
Yeah, we rushed for 250 yards again today.
Yeah.
And everybody says Jordan Marshall. It's not Jordan Marshall. It's the whole offensive line. The receivers blocked really well on one of his pass plays. They had 3 receivers out there. It was they got it to him, and he ran between 3 receivers that were blocking, got 20 yards. So that rushing total it's a team statistic. It takes a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. I would say, if anything, the offensive line is generally more responsible for rushing yardage than the running back is.
Agreed.
If you interchange these running backs and took the best running back in Nebraska and made him a Michigan running back next week and vice versa and all over the place, then they generally, guys don't. Yeah, there are better running backs than other running backs. Of course, they're just like any other position. There are great ones and then really good ones and then decent ones. But like the series that you pointed out, they had a really well-designed play. They got the couple wide receivers to block for him. They threw him that screen pass, and he just sprinted untouched right down the sideline until somebody knocked him out of bounds. And then the next play was beautifully blocked. It was basically just an off tackle to the left play. And he blew through that line. He was, he picked up speed immediately. That was impressive. But he wasn't, maybe he was touched, but it was perfectly blocked.
Yep. Yeah. So I think it was a good team effort today. And the game was closer, and but like you say, is that all of these Big Ten teams have a few pro quality players on them that at any moment these guys can wake up. Indiana, before Cignetti got there, was a bottom dweller. One man, the coach, makes this big difference. It's
Yeah.
the same, basically the same group of players, although he brought in his own guys from
Yes.
group of five. Marshall, wherever he came from.
James Madison. Yep.
James Madison, yeah. Those stellar players that he brought with him, right? But he brought a pretty good quarterback. He brought an experienced quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just I love everything Michigan. I love the coaches. I love the players. I love the culture. I just love Michigan, and when we win, I want to celebrate. And we can be critical, and we can say that we need to be better at quarterback decision making, and say that we can work on, and we're going to need that be better for better teams. But if we just rip on the team and rip on the team and rip on the team, we're certainly not getting any points with the coaching staff and administration if we ever want to go further with them.
Yes.
Yeah,
For sure.
So good. I'm glad I got to talk to somebody sensible that agrees a win is a win. That's good. And
well, again,
yeah.
I think you can be balanced about it. I'm not telling anyone how to approach a win or loss. I'm just saying, for me personally, I obviously have very high expectations for my team, and rightfully so. I think that's an obvious statement. I'm not rooting for Purdue or Kansas State. I'm rooting for Ohio State. So there's obviously a high bar, but I enjoy every win. I take it as a victory, but then also look at, okay, did they have some issues that need to be cleaned up that will be an issue when they play better teams? For example, like this running game, it would be nice if it was better by the time they went to Ann Arbor.
Yes. I'm going to ask you this question about when Ohio State comes to Ann Arbor. If Michigan runs for 250 yards against that Ohio State defense, what are the chances you think we'll win that game? Michigan will win that game.
I would say they are 85%.
Yep. I would agree. Yep. So
Ohio State is so good in other areas. That's why I only made it 85%. If you know, as well as I know, the team that wins the rushing total in that game always wins. I don't know how many consecutive years it is. It's 30 or something like that. So
isn't it like 29-1 though? I think 1 year it didn't hold.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
But since Ohio State, there is and obviously, if one team rushes for 132 yards and the other team rushes for 130 yards, that's inconsequential that they technically have more rushing yards.
And
but
that might have been the one.
Yeah, you're right.
That didn't qualify, right?
Yeah, that might have been the one. But I do think that there's a narrow window of a situation where, let's say, Michigan, well, you threw out 250. Let's say Michigan runs for 251 and Ohio State runs for 150, but they just go bombs away and they make big plays in the passing game and they win a 30-28 thriller.
Well, like 2019, you throw it for like 400 yards,
Yeah. All right, Keith, anything else?
No, thanks for listening.
Of course. Thanks for being here.
All right.
Got our Michigan fan Keith stopping by. Always good to hear from Keith. We've got Utah taking out Cincinnati right now. They've gone to halftime in Salt Lake City, 24-7 Utes. That's a big game in the Big 12, as you can see by the records right there. Utah would go to 4-2. So they're still a long shot for the Big 12 championship game, but Cincinnati sitting at 5-0. Houston lost earlier today. And obviously, Texas Tech won. BYU is off this week. So right now, BYU is undefeated in the conference, the only team undefeated in the conference. But Texas Tech took a huge step toward getting to the conference championship game as well. And Texas Tech also beat Utah head-to-head. So let's move it on to Rob standing by. Rob, what's going on?
Well, Mark, I'm going to be the opposite of the last caller, and I'm not going to be I'm not going to be very happy with the win this week. That was one of the most disgusting performances I've seen from my team in a long time.
I wondered about that.
Yeah.
I did not see one play of the game, but I was glad that I took Boston College in 30.5 points. But I did think that was a little heavy. But yeah, 25-10 did not sound too impressive.
Well, if I tell you that, Carr throws for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Jeremiah Love runs for 138 yards and, 2 touchdowns. Your first thought is probably, oh, yeah, Notre Dame probably just ran the clock. You just pounded them, like, pretty easy win. And their offense was averaging like 8 yards a play. I mean, wow. They look on paper. It's one of the weirdest games you've ever seen, Mark. It's an infuriating. Like, if you don't watch it because it's a horrendous game, but like it was not fun. Boston College held the ball for 35 minutes compared to Notre Dame's like 24 minutes.
Okay.
But a lot of that had to do with like one drive, I think in the third quarter, where they just went on a 21 play drive that ate up like almost the entire quarter, and they got a field goal out of it. And Notre Dame just couldn't get them off the field for whatever reason. Their defense just decided to regress back to like week 1 and 2. They only gave up 10 points, but again, it's Boston College. They are awful. So disgusting performance. This felt like honestly, this felt like a Brian Kelly coach Notre Dame team. And I'm not like Marcus Freeman got out coached today, which is rare because he's a good coach and he usually does a pretty good job. But I mean, there was some weird calls there. And I'll say this, their kicking game is an embarrassment. In fact, it's the most embarrassing thing I've ever, like, I cringe when I watch Notre Dame kick anything. They're missing point afters, Mark. Point afters. They're not.
Yeah, I was wondering when you said, didn't you say that Carr threw 2 touchdowns and Love had 2 touchdowns?
Yeah. Yeah. They missed a couple field goals and like a point after or two. Like, it's the most absurd thing I've ever seen in my life. The fact that Notre Dame, one of the strongest brands in the sport, can't get a kicker. And obviously, Noah Burnett's hurt. I think their backups hurt, like Smith or whatever his name is. They're all just terrible, though. Like, I don't think if they were healthy, they could hit the outside of a barn. I mean, like, it's awful. It's just, I don't understand it, and I don't know how you can't get someone, like anyone, to kick a field goal. Like, or even a point, like the fact that they're missing point afters consistently. Consistently. Why would you ever kick at that point? Just go for it every time. So I don't know. This was the first game of the year. And in fact, I'll say this. This was the worst performance of the year for Notre Dame in a lot of ways. Like, yes, they won, but this was in some ways worse than their loss to like A&M and Miami. It was just, it was a horrendous performance all the way around. I know they're coming off a bye, but you'd expect, like last year when they came off their second bye, the offense got it together, and that's like Mike Denbrock actually had a chance to like, get a hold of Riley Leonard, and they put a game plan together, and they just started stomping people out of the bye last year. This year they come out of the bye and just lay an egg. I mean, they're lucky they're playing Boston College, because against any of the other teams on their schedule, if they'd have played this poorly, they would have lost. Now, I was never really in fear of them losing this game. They were pretty much in control. But it was a pathetic, awful performance all the way around. I mean, yeah, CJ Carr played okay. I mean, he was like 72%, I think. But the passes that he missed, and of course, Notre Dame just shot themselves in the foot, left a lot of points on the board again. Like, this is an offense that is very dangerous and should be scoring like 40-plus points a game. But the last several games, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot and leaving points out there. And it doesn't help that they can't kick a field goal. So, I mean,
I can't get past that, because I just pulled up the box score. I don't know if you're watching, but I just pulled up the box score here, and I'm still trying to get past the situation where there's a kicker, not just one, there's two kickers. And I understand, as you mentioned, these are the backups, but still, you have been deemed good enough to be a place kicker at the University of Notre Dame. And you go to practice every day and you practice field goals. That's all you do. You practice field goals, you work out, you do all those things to be as good a kicker as possible. And as we know, extra points are set down at the 2.5-yard line. And after all that practice, and you are at Notre Dame, and you can't do what 90% of the kickers in high school are doing on Friday nights.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling, Mark. It's mind-boggling. I don't get it. So yeah, they have a lot to figure out. Like I said, they're lucky that they played Boston College this week, because that was the worst win I've seen in a long time. It was an excruciating game to watch, because you just kept waiting. You're like, okay, well, and CJ Carr, in some ways there was a few moments where it was fun because he was letting it fly. He was bombing it all day, but they just couldn't get out of their own way. And that's been the biggest problem for them the last several weeks, is they seem to be their own worst enemy. So Marcus Freeman needs to get his squad on, because right now, I think they deserve a drop in the rankings. That was a horrific performance, and of course, Miami lost to unranked SMU. So it's not been a good week for Notre Dame, Mark. I think they're probably going to drop a rank or two, and they deserve it. I still think if they can put it all together there, and even College Game Days, Notre Dame, if they get rolling, they're like a top 5 team. Well, yeah, but they're not. They've had flashes where they put that together, but probably their best game, obviously, was against Arkansas. But they just can't really string a couple of really solid games together in a row. And it's someone asked me. I had a USC fan ask me after the Notre Dame USC game, and they said, "Do you think this Notre Dame team is better than last year's?" And I said, at the time, I'm like, "Nah, I don't think they're better. I think they're somewhat similar, different strengths and weaknesses, but right now, this puts them a step below." That was not a good performance, Mark.
Well, I would want to see this defense play another good offense before I would make that decision one way or the other, because I just think that defense from last season was a top 5 defense in the country.
Yeah, and like I said, they've had they've had flashes. Arkansas is a really good offense. They've been scoring points on everybody. They almost beat A&M. They lost by 3 points, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
Both scored over 40 points. So Arkansas can put up points, and Notre Dame kept them to 13, but they're not doing that consistently. I don't think they've given up more than 13 points in the last. Well, they did give up. USC scored 24, whatever it was. But besides that, they've been keeping people 10 points, 13 points, 7 points, 7 points. They've been keeping scores pretty low, but this was awful. This felt like they lost the game, even though they won. So it'll be interesting. I think the only thing that's going to help Notre Dame in the rankings is that Georgia Tech lost. So inevitably they're going to tumble out of the top. They were 8th, so they'll probably fall at least 5, 6, 7 spots. I don't know how well, of course, the only ranking that matters at this point, who cares what the AP is going to be? Because I think the playoff ranking comes out, right? So
yes.
I don't foresee Notre Dame being in that playoff ranking right now. They're going to have a lot of work to do ahead of them to get there.
Which reminds me, so starting on Tuesday, we'll come on right after the rankings have been released. So whatever time that is. So we won't do 10 p.m. We'll just come on right after the rankings are released on Tuesday. I'm going to have a difficult time because I'm trying to keep head-to-head in order, and Miami's lost a second game. And to keep Miami ahead of Notre Dame is a bit difficult at this point with these Miami losses.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Because until this game, you could look at the trajectory of both teams and say, well, Notre Dame's on the rise, and Miami's kind of been fluttering and kind of not playing as well. But with this game, you can't say that now. Notre Dame looked awful today. So, they had a few good things here and there. Jeremiah Love, thank God, he had a 90+ yard run, or 90, 92, 94, something like that. The guy's just, he's a chance to hit a home run anytime he touches the ball. But the offensive line was horrible. The defense gave up too many third downs. It's just, It was not good. The other thing I think that's going to help Notre Dame is Georgia. Also, I mean, a lot of teams actually struggled. Like Georgia had a pretty awful performance against Florida, but they still won, right? I mean, that's ultimately, I will agree with the last caller. A win is not a win, but a win is a win. It's you do need the win. Like if it's pretty or if it's not pretty, you still need the win. Obviously, Miami would have loved to have an ugly win over SMU today. So, and I think the other thing that I'll say about this weekend is I think we can finally establish that yes, Ohio State and Indiana are the two best teams in the country. I don't have any doubt in my mind at this point. Indiana just trouncing Maryland, 50 plus points again. Not that Maryland's a good team, but
Yeah.
they're just drubbing everybody they play besides Iowa.
Well,
And of course-
my basic point, when not to cut you off, Rob, but with what they did last week against UCLA and then this week against Maryland, is that nobody else is doing that. I'm
Right.
not claiming Maryland's some great team or UCLA, but nobody else is beating them by 50 points, not even close.
Right. Yeah, they're just drubbing people. And then Ohio State, you look at that game and you're like, okay, well, Penn State's full of talent. They are a very talented team.
Yeah.
And that was a close game at half. But then one of those teams made championship level adjustments and the other didn't. And it's very clear that Ohio State, had a very convincing win today against a very talented Penn State team. Yes, they're not a good team, but they are super talented.
What I'm encouraged with Ohio State in recent weeks is they're starting to get their passing game finally tuned. It's almost as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
They hit 20 of 23 today, and they were throwing the ball downfield. It's a work of art practically at this point. They are really throwing the ball well.
That catch by Tate where the ball's deflected and he grabs it with one hand. That's that's just an average play for Ohio State's wide receivers. These guys are ridiculous. And of course you have to have somebody a good, quarterback to get them the ball. And Julian Sayin has been amazing. Ohio State is a scary team with their defense and the way their offense is working right now. So, and if they keep making those adjustments at half, and that's what I was expecting. The game for Notre Dame was horrible the first half. I'm like, well, Notre Dame's been a second half team all year. Well, they weren't tonight. They did not play a good game. But anyways, props to Ole Miss for beating South Carolina convincingly. That was a bit of a struggle there for a while. I was rooting for South Carolina, but Ole Miss, got it done. And how about Georgia Tech falling to NC State of all teams? It doesn't shock me.
Yeah.
But I am a little surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. Georgia Tech's a better team, but that's what I was trying to explain to, I don't know who it was, some caller last night or the night before. Just when we look at these, when you take a team that's not super good, they're not an elite team. Georgia Tech, Virginia, one of those teams. They're a good team. They're having a nice season. They're one of the 20 best teams in the country, probably. And you line up these games against the likes of Duke and Virginia Tech or NC State or whomever. Yes, collective. When you look at each particular game, yeah, those teams are going to be decided favorites. Although Georgia Tech was only a 5.5 point favorite. But when you look at the probabilities of winning each one of those games and winning all the games, it's a very low probability that you can make it through those games. I'm trying to explain this to somebody. When you look at math probabilities, if Georgia Tech against those kind of teams is a 70 to 75% certainty that they're going to win each one of those games, well, it's not even a 50% certainty that they're going to win the first two, because you take 70% times 70%, that's 49%. And it's like a toss-up that they'll win both of those games. And so just the probabilities of completing an undefeated season, even if you've got an easy schedule, just don't work out. So my dream scenario in the ACC is starting to crumble with that loss. And I guess that's the only thing that happened today. Well, Miami, they're pretty much toast. I had them going 11-1 as well.
Yeah, I can't. I just can't with Carson Beck anymore. I mean, you want to rely on the guy, but he's converted back to his 2024 form, and Yeah, it's so strange to see them like as dominant as they were in the beginning of the year, and they've just kind of fallen off. I just want to make a comment to Adam real quick. He said we shouldn't have let Steve Angeli go. Look, I kind of agree, but I mean, Steve Angeli is not. I mean, CJ Carr is not the reason Notre Dame, is in the position they're in right now. He's played a very good season. He had like one kind of bad game against USC, but even that, like he had a touchdown pass and a touchdown run and one pick, so it wasn't like the worst game ever. But yeah, and I was rooting for Angeli with Syracuse. He was actually starting to play very well, and then he got hurt, and then now they've just been pretty awful. So unfortunate for Syracuse there, but yeah, I just hope Marcus Freeman gets it together, Mark, because if they keep playing like that, they are not only not going to be in the playoffs, they're gonna lose several more games before the season's out. So I'm gonna jump off here and let some other callers on, but always fun talking. I had to vent, and I'll talk to you next time.
Of course. Thanks, Rob.
Yep.
Always good to hear from Rob. We've heard from, let's see, Notre Dame fan, Michigan fan, Purdue fan. Is that it? There were a few other ones on there. We've got our Florida fan, of course, Hall of Fame Trey as well. All right. Let's go back through these scores. Again, we're still in halftime in Salt Lake City with Utah leading 24-7. So Cincinnati could take a meaningful loss in the Big 12 in their efforts to get to the conference championship game. And I think you probably all know the rest of the scores across the country today, because those are the only two that are still in progress. San Jose State leads Hawaii 28-14. So if we take this and we go to the standings, and we'll do this all week. So this is where we stand. So we get a little more clarification every week, obviously. Navy loses for the first time. So we now have 6 teams in the American Conference. Forget the overall record for a second. 6 teams, because I do believe that the winner of the American Conference is going to represent the group of 5. There is a narrow window for San Diego State with a win against Cal, non-conference. They only have one loss. I think that they are the best candidate coming out of the Mountain West. Not that another team can't win with one loss, but I'm talking about with that, coupled with the victory against Cal. Not that that's some marquee win, but for a group of 5, it's actually a really good win. That, again, we would have to carve through each one of these schedules, but we've got those 6 teams with one loss. Now, key head-to-head situations between these teams is that Memphis beat South Florida, and North Texas has defeated Navy, and South Florida's got a win against North Texas as well. So that's where we stand in regards to head-to-head, and there are so many other games to be played. But I really believe that Tulane and South Florida are the 2 best teams, possibly Memphis. I think those are the 3 best teams in that conference. Then we've got the mighty ACC, Virginia, undefeated. Georgia Tech, Pitt, Louisville, SMU, and Duke all have one loss in the conference. So we've got Virginia in the driver's seat. Then we've got Georgia Tech, Pitt, Louisville, SMU, and Duke. We've got 5 other teams in second place vying for that second spot. Louisville's got a head-to-head win over Pitt. Georgia Tech over Duke. And Virginia over Louisville. So those are the head-to-head games there. All right, in the Big 12, BYU still undefeated. Cincinnati undefeated, but losing to Utah by 17 points at halftime. Let's say they lose that game. They would drop to 1-1 or to a one-loss team in the conference along with Texas Tech. And so this is becoming a little bit more clear-cut because it's going to be difficult for a 2-loss team to get this done now. We would have to carve through the schedules again to see whether Houston, Arizona State, TCU, or Utah have enough of the teams above them to play against, and probably not, because there's 3 of them. BYU, Cincinnati, Texas Tech. BYU and Cincinnati actually play, I believe, next week. So this is shaping up as a BYU/Cincinnati, Texas Tech Big 12 championship game. It will be difficult for a 2-loss team to get in there. In the Big Ten, this is as clear-cut as any situation in college football right now. Indiana and Ohio State have clear paths to the Big Ten championship game. However, if Michigan beats Ohio State, then they would win the head-to-head against Ohio State. And you could possibly have a situation where, let's say, the winner of Oregon-Iowa, but also you throw in the USC-Iowa game and the Oregon-USC game. So those next 3 teams. So this is interesting. Indiana, Ohio State, they win out, they're there. But if Michigan beats Ohio State, then that suddenly creates havoc. And you've got all sorts of tiebreakers to contend with there. Michigan fans would hope that obviously the head-to-head there just with Ohio State, but if there's a bunch of other one-loss teams, then that throws that head-to-head. Still important, but that isn't the sole determining factor. And I'm not going to go through all the tiebreakers right now, but it's interesting that USC plays Iowa and USC plays Oregon and Oregon plays Iowa. So a lot of these teams are playing. Indiana could finish the season undefeated in the Big Ten, having not played Ohio State, Michigan, or USC. They beat Iowa by 5 points, and they beat Oregon by 10. Ohio State will have played Michigan. Look at Ohio State. You could make the argument, and I would not argue with you, that Ohio State's had a pretty easy schedule in the Big Ten. They will get to the Big Ten championship game having only played Michigan, not the other contending teams in the Big Ten: Indiana, Oregon, Iowa, or USC. All right. Then we've got, there is the Mountain West. Boise State lost its first game tonight, got blown out as well by Fresno State. But that, not that a 2-loss team can't get in there, but as of right now, there's a clear path for San Diego State, obviously, and then the winner of the Boise State-Hawaii game, if they play. And then here, now this is what should dominate the conversation right here. We should be talking about this all night, and that's Oregon State and Washington State play next Saturday. No. They play tonight, right? They play tonight. No, they play next Saturday. Timeout. I saw the CBS promo, and now I'm forgetting whether that was for next week or did Washington State and Oregon State play tonight. They play tonight. Oregon State rides defense. Anthony Hankerson to a thrilling win over Washington State. That means that Oregon State won its... So they are the champions of the Pac-12. Unless they've got another game. Do they play a home and home, which they should? That should be the conference championship. Home and home, and then you go to a point differential tiebreaker. Right? That's what you should do there in the Pac-12. Oregon State, Washington. You could do it like this. Oregon State and Washington State play twice, home and home. The winner of the conference is the winner of the point differential. Or you just go ahead and play a conference championship game. Unless one of them won the series 2-0. All right, just having a little fun with Oregon State and Washington State. Then in the SEC, Texas A&M off this week. Alabama off this week. Georgia beat Florida. We got Ole Miss with one loss as well. Texas with a huge win against Vanderbilt. So right now, I've got to think that both teams that will play in the SEC championship game will only have one loss or no losses. Again, it's difficult for the likes of Oklahoma, Vandy, Tennessee to, well, forget Tennessee and on down. I hate when they do this with the standings. Actually, Missouri's in better position than Tennessee. They're 2-2, not 3-3. You should move Missouri up. So anyway, so those two lost teams, they're still mathematically in it, but Tennessee has lost to Alabama head-to-head, Georgia head-to-head. They've lost to Oklahoma now. So they have no tiebreaker leverage. And Missouri's lost to Alabama, and Mizzou lost to Vandy. Vandy lost to, of course, Texas, and they also lost to Alabama. Those top four teams, top five teams with Texas in there as well. Those are the teams to focus on. The top five teams. I cannot see a scenario in which one of the other teams would make it in. Still mathematically possible, but and then among those top five teams, the head-to-head to take into consideration would be Georgia and Texas, I believe, play next week. Alabama beat Georgia. Georgia beat Ole Miss. Those are the only head-to-head games between those teams. There you go. And, of course, Texas A&M play coming up in a few weeks at the end of the season. All right, folks, we do appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. I will take the day off on Sunday. Hopefully no more coaches get fired. And then we will get together with all of you on Monday night. Now, Tuesday, we'll not do 10 p.m. Eastern time. We'll just jump on as soon as the rankings get released. Boom, we'll be on with all of you, and we will size up the rankings. My top 25 that actually makes sense is hopefully out sometime on Sunday, although I've got a jam-packed Sunday. And we will see you soon. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Please hit the like button and subscribe on the way out.